Hey guys, my name is Naguura and today I'm going to be talking about the Eden's Raid bosses. Basically, I'm going to be making a tier list on the bosses that I enjoyed the most and the bosses that I enjoyed the least. It's going to be mainly about Savage, not normal mode versions of the fight. And keep in mind that I also experienced all of those fights blind with min item level. So I'm only going to speak of the enjoyment that I had blind progging them. I totally understand if you don't agree with some of my opinions because maybe you didn't experience it blind. That's obviously going to be a totally different experience because certain puzzles are really fun to figure out blind. But if you're looking at a guide, then the puzzle might not be that hard because, you know, it's literally written there for you. And then maybe the boss isn't as fun for you. And the same goes with keeping in mind that I haven't killed these bosses multiple times. In fact, most of the bosses I killed only one time. I totally understand why certain bosses might not be fun to do multiple times in a row. I totally understand why that maybe diminishes the amount of fun that you had when you think about that boss, because you had to do it multiple times and it gets boring, or there's something about it that is not as fun as the experience I had. But yeah, let's go into the tier list. I just wanted to say that I absolutely loved almost all of the fights. Almost every fight that I got to, I had like recency bias where I'm like, oh my god, this is the best fight ever. And then I got to the next fight, I was like, oh my god, this is the best fight ever. You know, like I just kept going. I enjoyed this experience so much. I absolutely loved everything about this blind experience and these savage raids. So yeah, just saying that. Don't be upset if I put something in D. That's just because I need to make the tier list. I probably still enjoyed it though, because I enjoyed every boss really. There's no boss where I was feeling like, oh my god, this is boring, or this is I don't like it, or whatever. All right, so let's go into the tier list. I hope I remember the bosses by their icons. This is E1, right? This is E1S. So E1S is a hard one for me to tell because this was like the very first like savage fight I did, and we had like limit max. He had already done it before, so he wasn't saying anything, and I was really still learning how to play red mage. Like I was like so new at the game that half the things I didn't even know what the hell is going on. So I have a hard time putting this into like a category. I'm just gonna put it on C for now, and then later we maybe adjust it. All right, so this is E2S. I personally did not like E2S that much, even though I really like the idea with the clocks and with the delayed mechanics happening. I think that is a really cool idea. But the thing that I didn't like about E2S, compared to the other bosses, it was still a good boss, right? Like I still liked it. But compared to the other bosses, I still think it had some things I didn't like, mainly the repetitiveness without any like changes in like faces or pace or whatever, right? Like I felt like the abilities are always the same. Like you're just standing on this platform and the platform never changes. The abilities just happen over and over. The only thing that was different was that sometimes the abilities were delayed. But that doesn't change the fact that they were the same abilities, right? So I had a hard time. I think this boss was the hardest boss for me when it came to remembering where I am in the fight. Like sometimes I would be in the middle of the fight. I was like, where am I? Like this could be the start of the fight, the end of the fight. I don't know, because everything just like kind of got to like mush together in my brain. So that's why I personally didn't like this fight as much as the others. You could say that was the difficult part of it. You could say that it was a good thing that all the abilities were kind of the same, and that's the hard part about it. But yeah, it wasn't as enjoyable as some of the other fights for sure. So I'm going to put it to C as well. Then we have Leviathan. I absolutely love Leviathan. I think it was a great fight. It was also the fight where we saw like one of these puzzles for the first time, like the tsunami. This is like the first time we've seen that kind of puzzle. Compared to E1 and E2, we didn't really have that there. So that was like an amazing experience figuring that out, how it's resolved. And once it finally got together, like once we resolved the tsunami, it looked like this perfect like dance where every piece just perfectly fits together, and it just felt amazing. And then also the other parts of this fight felt really good, like, you know, when you have to split the group into two and the platform in the middle is gone, and then you have like some intermission phases as well with the maelstrom. So I really think this boss was just like a really well-rounded boss that was really, really amazing. Even the damage check was not completely easy. I don't think the damage check was like insane, but it was something that we had to like optimize a little at least, and I think that was really, really good as well. So I'm gonna put it into A. I think it was, in fact, I might even put it to S because, of course, if you compare Leviathan to some of the last bosses, to like Shiva or E4S, Titan or whatever, then of course it's not as good as those. But I feel like I should always consider the position of the boss in the raid. For a third boss, I think Leviathan is S tier in my mind. Right? So I think that's how I'm gonna rank it from now on. I'm gonna consider the position of the boss. So that's why I think I'm actually gonna put E2S lower than E1S because, considering that it's the second boss, that's what I'm gonna do. I might put them up to B and C later, we'll see. Then we go to E4S Titan. I absolutely love Titan. Amazing boss. I think this is such a cool fight. Amazing. There's absolutely nothing you can really say against it. There was a little bit of a downtime where like barely anything happened, which felt like, oh my god, it's just dragging out the time, like the fight length. But it's not a big deal at all. And I guess you guys know what I'm talking about, where the boss is like destroying the platforms one by one, where you're left on only like one. And that's like, it's a really slow kind of phase where nothing too difficult is happening. But that's whatever, right? So absolutely love this fight. Then we have Ramuh, which I actually liked Ramuh. I would put it up to E1S here. Even though I think E1S might have been slightly harder than E5, I still think that they're like very similar when it comes to like their position in the raid. So yeah, I'm gonna put it here. Then we have this boss. What was this boss again? Let me try to remember this. Oh, it's Ifrit and Garuda. Of course. It's Ifrit and Garuda. Okay, let me think about Ifrit and Garuda. I liked the fight. We were hard stuck on one of the mechanics there, which maybe diminished the fun a bit that I had on this fight. Overall, I think I really liked the fight. It was not like one of the greatest for sure. So I think I'm gonna put it to B. I definitely don't think it was great, but I liked it. It was not bad. I might, considering that it was the second boss, like considering the position of the boss, I might put it to C actually. I might actually do this. Because I think E1 and E5, yes, they were not like the greatest fights, but they were a first boss. And for the first bosses, I think they were really good. And for Ifrit and Garuda, I think for their position in boss, like the second boss, I think they were not as good as E1 and E5 were for their position respectively. So I'm going to put it a bit lower. And I'm going to put E2S even lower because I personally, I'm just not thrilled about this boss, personally. Then we have this boss here, that's the boss with the portals. Yes, I love this fight. I think this fight was really good. I might put it all the way up to here even, just because of the position of the fight, right? It's the same position as Leviathan. And for that position of the fight, I think it's very comparable to Leviathan even. It had a great puzzle. In fact, the whole fight is like one big puzzle, I guess, with the portals. And then you even had an ad phase, which was something that was really refreshing because you don't have that many ad phases that even matter. Sometimes you have an ad phase where it's just kind of like, oh, whatever. But this boss had an ad phase that felt like you need to actually meet the damage checks, you need to drag it around, you need to dodge the ability. Like, it just felt good, right? I liked it. Overall, I liked it. The only thing that I really didn't like about this fight was the ability where you have to like position your character and then you get ported there. It was a nice idea. I think the ability is a really cool idea. But the way the game works with like the auto phase and whatever, because I had to turn off auto phase for it because I was healing. And if I'm healing people that are like in a different spot and then I'm facing them and then I get ported to a different, like it just felt bad. So I had to turn off auto phase, and I didn't like that because during the ad phase I'm trying to put my dots onto the ads and I have to like do that without auto phase, and it just felt weird. But outside of that, I think this boss was amazing. I really, really liked it. I'm gonna put it up there as well. Then Shiva, also Shiva's amazing. I'm gonna put Shiva up there, even though I wish I wouldn't have played a healer in this fight, because playing a healer in this fight felt there's just no damage, right? I think everyone can agree that this boss just didn't have enough damage to heal. But I'm still going to put it up there just because the fight itself is amazing. Light Rampant is such a cool puzzle. And there were, even the ad phase felt really cool. Even though the damage buff you get from that phase is not that great, like it's not like super significant, it still felt like it's cool. The first boss in Eden's Promise, I think I might put that boss down there. I was not the biggest fan of this boss. I'm actually going to put it here. I might put it here. I was not the biggest fan of this. There were some parts of it that I thought were really good, but overall the fight just felt a bit off. It felt like something is missing in this fight. The intermission phase was interesting because the room changed and then you have these tiles that disappear when you stand on it for too long. Like that was a really cool phase actually. I like that. Then it just got repeated without really anything changing. It was the same thing again. And the tether ability I was not the biggest fan of. I might put it here though. It's CRD, I'm not sure. Then the Shadow Dog. I personally really liked Shadow Dog. I thought he was really cool. I was definitely a bit confused at first about the abilities, but I think it was a cool fight. I definitely think it was a cool fight, so I'm going to put it here on A. This fight, I'm going to put a bit lower. I think I'm going to put it same with Garuda and Ifrit, because if you consider the position of this fight, it's supposed to be the third fight of the tier, so I have to compare it with the Leviathan and this boss. And for that, it was not that great, I don't think. Don't get me wrong, because I like the fight, but for it being like a third boss of the tier, it was definitely missing something, I feel like. So I'm gonna put it here. Then we have the last two bosses for the last raid. So basically the door boss and the last boss. I do think I'm gonna put both of them here. Yeah, I'm gonna put both of them here. I think this just makes sense, considering that I enjoyed both of them very, very much. The puzzles were great in both of them. There was a pretty real damage check on this boss as well, which by the way was on all the bosses really. Like we had a damage check on Titan, we had a damage check on Shiva, and we had a damage check here. The damage check on the last boss was maybe not that hard. It almost felt easy-ish compared to some of the other last bosses. But the door boss definitely felt like the damage check was pretty tough for us, at least. I'm not sure how it compared to other bosses. I do think Shiva might have been tighter even compared to the door boss here, but it was still fun. It felt fun. There were definitely some frustrating moments because this boss really punishes you very heavily for deaths, right? And that's something we have noticed a lot. And there was also a lot of incoming damage on this fight as well. That was something that was cool for the healers. Yeah, I don't know. I like this boss. I definitely liked it. And then this boss was so cool when it came to the puzzles with the relativity. That was actually just great. Solving those puzzles was so much fun, and getting there for the first time, not knowing what is even going on. It's like you just see all of these mechanics, and when you see it for the first time, it's like, what is happening? It was so much fun to resolve these mechanics, especially because it just feels so good once you do it correctly, right? Once you figure out how to solve the puzzle, and everyone is in the spot where they have to be, and then they just get ported around to their previous positions, and it all just looks so beautiful. It's just this puzzle that fits together perfectly, and I just loved it. So yeah, I think this is my tier list. I don't think necessarily that it's perfect. I probably have made this tier list already once, and it looked different. So I just made this list to share my thoughts about the bosses really with you guys. And what do you think about those bosses? Of course, I understand that you might have a completely different opinion about these bosses, especially also since I don't know the lore behind them at all, right? I haven't played the MSQ yet in Shadowbringer. I did start the MSQ actually, but I'm still in ARR, and I have purposely not been paying attention to the MSQ while I was doing these raids, because I was thinking that maybe if I go back and do the MSQ, then I don't want to know anything about this yet. So I have no idea behind the story. I only am talking about the fight itself, and I'm only talking about the fight in a blind situation where no one knows the strategy beforehand. And I'm also only talking about killing the bosses like 1 or 2 times instead of killing them like multiple times. But I would love to hear your opinion below. Remember to please not put any spoilers in the comments, because again, I haven't played MSQ in Shadowbringers, so no spoilers please. I would appreciate that. Just focus maybe on the fight itself instead of the connection to the lore. And let me know what you think. I'm very excited to hear your opinion about all of these fights. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. Remember to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet for more videos like these. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Have a nice rest of your day. Goodbye.